All right, so welcome to the deep dive. We like to get into all the techie details here, and today we're gonna strap on the Apple Watch Series 10. We're not just looking at the specs, we're going deep into what this new release tells us about where Apple is going with wearable tech. Our source material is a deep dive from the TechWise Corner blog posted on March 18th of this year.
Oh, yeah, it's a fascinating one. And they really dig into how Apple's design choices, they aren't just about aesthetics. They're really carefully calculated to shape your entire experience with the watch.
Right, like they called out the 42 millimeter size being like the sweet spot. I totally get that. Not too bulky, not too small. And that jet black aluminum case, classic Apple.
Right.
Appealing to the techies, Andy the fashion folks, right?
Yeah, that's Apple's design language in a nutshell. Creating this perception of premium, versatile tech that just fits seamlessly into your life, no matter what that life looks like.
Speaking of seamless, can we talk about the always-on Retina display? This isn't just your average always-on screen. This is bright, crisp, A&D, power-efficient.
Which is crucial because, the always-on display isn't just a cool feature. I think it's really changing how we interact with our devices. Like instant access to information has become the expectation now. And this constant visibility, it feeds into that need.
Yeah, I can already see myself becoming even more impatient-like. If I actually have to lift my wrist to check the time, it'll feel like an eternity. But beyond the display, the review was raving about the Series 10's performance, like how fast and responsive it is, and how smoothly it works within the iOS ecosystem.
Apple's famous walled garden, right? You always have to consider the trade-offs between a really streamlined, controlled experience versus potentially having fewer options compared to other platforms.
Right, and that's the big question. Is that seamlessness worth potentially limiting yourself? I mean, I love how effortlessly Apple devices work together, but there are definitely times I wish I had a bit more flexibility.
Yeah. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. It's about weighing those priorities. Do you value that curated Apple experience above all else? Or are you someone who prioritizes, customization and having a wider range of choices? Even if it means a little bit more effort on your end, there's really no right or wrong answer. It all comes down to your individual needs and preferences.
This is where I kind of geek out a little. The health features. The ECG app, with its ability to detect atrial fibrillation, that's some seriously powerful stuff right there on your wrist.
Yeah, it's really pushing the boundaries of what wearable tech can do. Imagine a world where your watch doesn't just track your steps, it actually catches serious health issues before you even notice any symptoms. That's a game changer.
Absolutely. It could lead to earlier interventions, quicker diagnoses, maybe even save lives.
Yeah, and it's not just about individual health. Think about the potential impact on the healthcare system. Could this lead to a shift towards preventative care, rather than just reacting to problems after they arise? That's a whole new way of thinking about health and wellness.
It's mind-blowing when you think about it. And while we're on the topic of doing good, the review also made a big deal about the Series 10 being carbon neutral. They really emphasize that it's more than just a marketing ploy. It's a genuine commitment to sustainability for Apple.
Which makes sense. Consumers are becoming more and more aware of the environmental impact of their tech choices. For companies like Apple, demonstrating a commitment to sustainability. It's no longer optional, it's becoming a core part of their brand identity. And a key factor in, consumers' purchasing decisions.
Yeah, for sure. It's something I definitely consider when I'm shopping for tech these days. But one thing that always makes me hesitate with smartwatches is battery life. The Series 10 is supposed to get you through 18 hours, which isn't bad, but it still means daily charging, right?
It's the constant battle in tech, isn't it? Trying to cram in all these amazing features while also stretching that battery life as far as possible. We all want the best of both worlds. But sometimes compromises have to be made.
Right. It's like we're always chasing that holy grail of a smartwatch that can do it all and last for days without needing a charge. Maybe one day. But for now, it's the charger life for me.
It makes you wonder, though, what features would you be willing to give up for that extended battery life? Would you sacrifice a slimmer design for a bulkier battery that lasts a week? Or maybe say goodbye to some of the more advanced health tracking features if it meant longer stretches between charges?
Ooh, that's a good one. Makes you really think about what you truly value in a device like this. It's a fascinating design challenge, isn't it?
It really is. Trying to balance,
Yeah.
power and features in such a small device.
Yeah, and it really forces the designers and the users to think about what's essential, What are we willing to give up? And what are those must-have features? So we've talked about the design, the always-on display, the performance, all the health features, even Apple's push for sustainability. It seems like they're hitting all the points with this Series 10.
Yeah, and I think that's what's really interesting is like Apple isn't just, throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. They're really weaving together these different elements, style, functionality, health, sustainability, into this like cohesive vision of what a smartwatch can be.
It's more than just a gadget, right?
Exactly.
It feels like a statement about how Apple sees wearable tech going forward.
Yeah, it's becoming less about just checking notifications and more about actually integrating technology into our lives.
Yeah.
In a way that's, both seamless and meaningful.
And with all these advancements, it makes you wonder, is the Apple Watch becoming more of a necessity? Is it moving from that nice to have to the can't live without category?
That's a great question. As these devices become more sophisticated and, more intertwined with our health and well-being, that line starts to get blurry. Think about how much we rely on our smartphones now. Are we headed towards a similar reliance on smartwatches?
Yeah, it's not hard to imagine a future where our smartwatches are our main way to communicate. For health monitoring, even for payments. They're already so much more than just timepieces,
Especially with those features like the ECG app. Becoming more common, the potential impact on healthcare is huge.
Yeah, imagine like your watch alerting you to a potential health issue before you even feel any symptoms. That could really be life-changing.
Right. It's like having a personal health assistant right on your wrist, constantly monitoring you and, giving you that peace of mind.
But with that power comes a lot of responsibility, right?
Of course.
We need to make sure all this data is being handled ethically and responsibly.
Absolutely. Privacy and security are super important. We need to be careful about who has access to our health information and how it's being used. It's a conversation we need to keep having as this tech keeps evolving.
Okay, so just to recap, the source for all this is that TechWise Corner blog post that we mentioned earlier. It was posted March 18th of this year, right?
That's right. They're well respected in the tech world, known for their really thorough reviews and analysis.
And they seem pretty impressed with this Apple Watch Series 10 overall, especially with that always-on Retina display and how responsive the interface is.
Yeah, those were definitely standout features for them. And it is exciting to think about how this tech will keep getting better
Yeah.
in the next generations of the Apple Watch.
Right. I'm curious how they'll handle the battery life issue. Will they go for longer battery life, even if they have to, sacrifice some features? Or are we going to see some crazy new battery tech that lets them have it all?
That's the million-dollar question,
Yeah.
right? But for now, it seems like the Series 10 strikes a pretty good balance. It's stylish, it's powerful, it's health-focused,
Yeah.
and they're really trying to be environmentally conscious.
It feels like Apple's setting a new standard for what we can expect from wearable tech. It's not just about telling time anymore, is it?
Not at all.
It's about connecting us to our health, our digital lives, and, maybe even a more sustainable future.
Yeah, and it's not just Apple. This is happening across the entire tech industry. Wearable technology is becoming more and more a part of our everyday lives. It's going to be fascinating to see where it all goes.
I'm excited to see what the future holds, but, let's stick with the Apple Watch Series 10 for today. It's clear this device is really pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Absolutely. It's like a glimpse into the future of wearables. And it brings up a lot of really interesting questions about how we interact with technology, how we think about our health, and how we decide what's truly important in our lives.
Yeah, it's exciting and maybe even, I don't know, a little bit unnerving at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. It's a whole new frontier.
And Apple is right there at the forefront.
Definitely pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
But, it's important to remember that technology, it's a tool.
Right. It's up to us how we use it.
Exactly. We get caught up in all the hype, all the cool new features. But, really need to stop and think about the implications, too.
Yeah. It's that classic question, isn't it? Is tech controlling us or are we controlling tech?
We need to find that balance.
Yeah.
Right? Embrace all the possibilities, but also be aware of the potential downsides.
Yeah, that's a great point to wrap up our deep dive into the Apple Watch Series 10. It's clearly a powerful device with the potential to change, I don't know, so much about how we live, how we take care of ourselves, but, we need to use it wisely.
And stay informed about how all this tech is changing our world.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So, to all our listeners, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And you're going about your day. Think about this. Is wearable tech becoming more than just a gadget? Is it on its way to being something we can't imagine living without? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.